Alrighty, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another live stream. Good morning. Happy now Wednesday. If you guys are still in the Central Time, it would be Tuesday still. But anyways, hope you guys are doing good. We got ourselves another update here. Unfortunately, things are getting a little bit iffy with the weather. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it, my friends. But yeah, so we're watching closely. In the tropics, that's kind of our main concern right now. We're going to definitely keep a close eye out there for it. You know, I've been kind of watching this here for the last little bit. Now, we're still not sure fully if this thing will come near Florida or whatnot. I know that's what a lot of people are concerned about right now, is if this thing will make its way towards Florida. It's still not for sure. There still is a lot of things that we need to look out for. But I will tell you this. The storm is now an invest. It is actually officially became an investigation here earlier today, which that means that we're going to start getting hurricane model outputs. We're going to start getting possible hurricane hunter missions and stuff like that rolling its way into the storm here. Now, actually, we have a new GFS run here. This is the latest GFS here overall, which we'll look at here in a second. But anyways, let's see here who we got today. We got Christian. We have Jared. Let's see here. We have ourselves Tabletop. We have Darian, Christopher, Kayla, Kim, Weathern. Hope you're doing good. And we have, of course, everybody else who's hanging out here but just not chatting. Hope you guys are doing good. So Christopher, it's not for sure yet for Florida. You know, we still got a couple days to watch this thing here. I mean, we are about, so the date seems to be right around the 19th is the day of impact potentially, or you know, the day it would theoretically come near us. Here's the latest GFS run. You can kind of see here the storm, you know, kind of just goes to the west a little bit, kind of stops in its tracks, picks up a little bit of strength for a couple of days or so. This is around the 18th. We approach the 19th. This thing goes into the Gulf. Then we go to the 20th here, which it comes near Florida. Now, that's according to the latest GFS. Once again, take that with a grain of salt. This is just one model. So, as we can kind of tell here, we have a frontal system that's going to actually push this storm here. So the storm's going to be sitting out here in the Caribbean for a little bit, you know, kind of picking up on a lot of that heat. So actually right now the Caribbean is just absolutely on fire. Temperature-wise, sea surface temperature-wise, it is very, very warm still. We're going to bring you guys over here real quickly. Actually, I'll bring this over to y'all. Yeah, so here's our current sea surface temperatures, and out here in the Caribbean, the sea surface temperatures are still 30 degrees Celsius, which is still extremely warm. So that's a little bit concerning because if that storm just kind of sits there and just meanders over here into the the Caribbean, this could allow it to pick up some strength, which obviously that wouldn't be very good. Now the storm, what the majority of the models do suggest is the fact that the storm does go to the west here, creeps its way into the Gulf, and then possibly gets an eastward push from a cold front that could be rolling through. That is a potentially, it's kind of what the GFS and some of the main models have been talking about here. So once again, here's the GFS model showing that storm tracking through the Caribbean. This one, the latest run actually has it hitting the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe weakening a little bit. This is still not for sure. This is still a little bit far out in time, but then of course we track away into the Gulf, and you notice this right here. This is that frontal system. We'll have ourselves a cold front that'll come through, which will also kind of push that storm away from the front. That's kind of how interactions occur from tropical cyclones to cold fronts. Is they cold fronts push them away. So as this thing potentially rolls its way into the Gulf, and as we get that cold front, this thing could push it eastward, which that could be a problem for areas like Florida potentially. I'm not saying it yet. It's still a little too early to be for sure. So don't get all worked up yet. But that would be a possible outcome. We'll have to see how that plays out. Anyways, let's see here. No tabletop, not any impacts for North Carolina. Let's see. Ty says, what about Northern Virginia? No, you're good. Up in the Mid-Atlantic states, this is currently not a problem for you. Actually, currently in the U.S., it's not really a huge issue for us right now because nothing's final yet. In which, we are still a couple days away. This thing can do, some things that could change its overall outcome. So, as of right now, it's not a problem for anywhere towards, especially the Mid-Atlantic or anything like that. So, but anyways, so that's that's the latest GFS here. We're gonna hop our way over to CMC. This is another model. This is the Zero Zulu run. This is a brand new run here. That coming from the CMC model. So kind of the same thing happens, actually a little bit, a lot less intense, as you can kind of tell, because this model has that disturbance kind of just hugging the coast here of like Central America, and then it pulls towards the Yucatan. But you can notice here that the steering mechanisms are still there. We get that system that tracks its way in the Gulf here. That cold front is still very much visible, which could be steering that storm possibly more to the east here. Now, also, I do want to mention this cold front might be an issue for the country in the U.S. because, we're not too sure on it yet, but it could be a potential, thunderstorm maker. It's still a little ways away out, but we'll have to just see how that kind of plays through and stuff like that. Let's see, just watching Sailor. Absolutely. There still is a bit of uncertainty here. We're going to hop our way over here to the Icon. So here's the latest Icon model. This is the Zero Zulu. Icon has this thing going over the Yucatan Peninsula, potentially, and then kind of possibly steering its way here to the east with that cold front interaction. So as you can see, models are still a little bit iffy. Here's Euro. We'll hop to the 12 Zulu. But yeah, Euro, has the storm kind of doing the same thing, tracking over the Yucatan and, possibly steering its way hard to the right because of that cold front there. So that's just something we're going to really need to look out for. We're going to have to see, what kind of, interaction we might have here. Like I said, it just depends on, a lot of factors, and we're still a couple days away, so things can still obviously change a bit. But we'll definitely keep a close eye on that. Now, we do have other models like ensembles we can look at here. So you can see ensemble models. We'll go to the 12 Zulu here. So as we approach our way, by the way, guys, the time's in the top right if you guys want to follow along with that. So this is here for the 14th, as you can see. So we work our way down in time, and you can see that, all of these ensembles just kind of sit in the Caribbean, possibly picking up some strength as it just sits there, and then all of those ensembles start to move into the Gulf and possibly steering its way here to the east. you can kind of see what we're looking at here. So the storm currently is out there, kind of near Jamaica, just to the south of Jamaica currently, in which it's going to continue moving its way to the west a little bit, and it's going to stall out, just kind of sit there, pick up some strength, and then it's going to get kind of pulled in, possibly to the Gulf, and then, like I said, the cold front theoretically could steer it to the east. And you can see that on the majority of those ensembles. What's up, Scott? How are you doing, man? You can see that on the majority of those ensemble models, showing that that system just kind of kicking off there, brewing in the Gulf, or sorry, brewing in the Caribbean, and then possibly tracking its way into the Gulf here. So that's kind of the main concern at this point. Here's another model. This is the GEFS, kind of suggesting the same thing here. Has the Caribbean, basically majority of those those members there, just having it sitting in the Caribbean for a couple days or so, picking up some heat before possibly launching its way towards the the Gulf here. And so here's the thing. This is kind of what we're looking at. So that we have a high pressure system that will be in play just east of Florida. So that kind of leads me to believe that system could be prevented from going into these waters here, which this is kind of forcing that system to go into the Gulf. It's because of this high pressure right here. We have more high pressure that's building in behind, which is kind of just squeezing the system between these two pressure systems, these two high pressure systems here, these ridges. So we will see that. We'll see how that plays out. But that's kind of the common denominator here in regards to the models, the ensembles and stuff like that. That is a real possibility. So we'll be watching that closely. Let's see here. Drought question. Will we see relief here in West Virginia and eastern North Carolina? We need to know. Try not to miss. Okay. Well, first of all, whether I don't miss anybody's question on purpose. Okay. I try to get to everybody's as I can. Okay. But anyways, so when it comes to the drought and stuff like that, you guys are actually going to be in that high pressure for a while. If we actually hop our way over here to the... Here, let's go to the southeast U.S. real quickly. So, yeah, you can see we actually are getting a bit of a rain system that's starting to brew right now, actually, which will be bringing some rainfall to West Virginia, to the Carolinas. So this will be, wouldn't be necessarily relieving the drought conditions fully, but it could help it a bit in terms of, obviously giving you a little bit of rainfall. So that is certainly a possibility, or that is an expectancy at this point. Let's see. We're gonna pull up total precip accumulations here. We're gonna just get an idea. Remember, just take this with a grain of salt. This is the GFS model. A lot of these regions here possibly could be picking up an inch or so. Same thing for like West Virginia. A little bit less towards the Panhandle, but North Carolina, West Virginia could pick up a little bit. But anyways, yeah. So that's that. Let's see. Good evening, Jeff. Hope you're doing good, man. Welcome. But yeah, so hopping back over here though. We do have. We got some hurricane models starting to develop here. That's not fully available yet. Let's see here. HMON. Oh yeah. We're starting to get some hurricane models coming in now because, like I said, it's officially an invest, which means that we're going to start getting those hurricane model runs and stuff like that coming in. So that'll... Wow, dude. Yeah, GFS has this thing turning quite nasty. I mean, which, honestly, I do really see happening, I really do see if this thing can stay away from the coast, it really could pick up strong because there's going to be no wind shear to disrupt the storm, for one. Two, the waters out there is still like 40, or sorry, not 40, that'd be crazy, 30 degrees Celsius out there. So we have really warm sea surface temperatures associated with no wind shear. And our moisture supply seems to be fairly decent. This is a new run apparently, or some type of something here. Yeah, I mean, moisture is going to be fairly decent. You can see there's obviously a big pool of dry air to the northwest, but that shouldn't really be an issue because there's just so much moisture in the storm itself. It can kind of probably fight through some of that. Now, the dry air, I mean, say theoretically it works its way to the Gulf. It could become an issue. We could start to get some dry air getting into that storm at some point in the later life, but at least for the beginning portion, yeah, I mean, honestly, I really do think it's going to have a pretty good shot at becoming something pretty big, due to the fact that, once again, no wind shear, large amounts of heat that's there in the water, with those sea surface temperatures, once again, like 29, 30 degrees Celsius, which is very, very warm, that all that moisture that's available to it. I mean, you can see, once again, this is the current sea surface temperature anomaly, or not anomaly, but sea surface temperature map. I was actually looking at the anomalies earlier, and it's still very warm out here in the Caribbean. But yeah, this is just our normal current sea surface temperatures. And out here towards the Caribbean, 29, 30 degrees Celsius waters is very, very, very warm. So like I said, if that system can kind of, work its way to the west and slow down, like I said, stalling, basically there's going to be no steering currents moving this thing for a little period of time, which is going to be literal no wind shear in the environment, which is going to allow for this thing to possibly rapidly intensify into the Caribbean here. But before that high pressure slips down, just east of Florida, which, could obviously, start to steer the storm towards the Gulf here. And then we have that other frontal system, that's kind of pushing its way here to the east, which in theory could pull the storm a little bit more eastward. So that's kind of the mechanics with this with this current setup here overall. Let's see here. Matthew says, "Hey bud, do I think that the new 0-0 GFS run is a new trend or an outlier?" Man, it's honestly unknown. I have seen models in the past where they pull hard to one thing and then they return to their previous assessment before, for the next model run. So it's there's no way of really telling, honestly, until we get a good amount of support showing otherwise. But yeah, here's the latest GFS. It's the 0 Zulu. Like I said, it's going to be really it's going to be probably really fighting some dry air as it gets, especially into the later life here. That does seem to be a possibility. But I mean, because look at that. Look at this. We have this high pressure dome that's building into the Gulf and in towards the northern Caribbean here, towards the Bahamas and stuff. Also, towards the southeastern U.S. coast. It's going to be very, very dry. But the storm here is, overall, still holding on to a solid amount of moisture. According to GFS here, it doesn't seem like it's going to be really fighting that too much until we get possibly later down in time. But at this point, this is like the 20th, which is still a little far out for tracking. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely see how that goes. GFS has been pulling real hard for hyper. Yeah. No, GFS, honestly, though, has been fairly more accurate than Euro this year. Yeah, European model, I think, has been slacking this year. It really hasn't been as, honestly, yeah, it really hasn't been as accurate as, like, the GFS has. But, that doesn't, there still has been those scenarios where GFS does go wild. But honestly, and I know that you guys, I mean, or I honestly, I personally believe that this case scenario isn't going to be one of those. Just simply due to the environment that we're going to be kind of put into. Because like I said, as we track our way to the west, that disturbance rolls its way to the west here, it quickly strengthens. Look at the latest GFS 917, dude. For a brief period of time. That is wild. I don't know if it'll get that low. We can't take it that seriously, but I do think that we could really undergo some rapid strengthening here. Because, like I said, no wind shear in the atmosphere, so there's no winds that's, not a part. So a part of the storm, yes, there's a lot of strong winds in the hurricane, but outside around the storm, there's no winds, which is, kind of steering the storm and stuff like that. There's going to be no steering. The storm's going to literally sit in its spot for a little bit. Which that if you have no wind shear, it can allow the storm to quickly, pick up its structure, quickly strengthen, and given, like I said, the sea surface temperatures out there, 29, 30 Celsius, very, very warm waters. So between the warm waters, between no wind shear, and between a fairly good amount of moisture in the Caribbean at the time being, it has all the ingredients to get, going pretty quickly. So we'll have to see. Let's see here. Serious question with recent activity. Let's see here. Is February a bad month for family vacation in the Caribbean? No, honestly, not. No, it's actually pretty good. I mean, February, obviously, it's still winter at that point. But in the Caribbean, it still stays pretty warm during the winter months. Just depends on exactly where you go. But yeah, no, Caribbean would be a great place to go. And especially because at that point, you don't really have a hurricane threat at those months, because waters are much, much cooler. And just, you really don't see tropical activity at that time. So yeah, absolutely. That would be a great, a great time to go on a vacation for sure. Let's see here. It would be insane for the earliest and latest Cat 5 to happen. We'll see how that happens. I mean, like I said, I can't tell you yes or no. We don't have enough information to base off of if this thing will get there. But what I can show you, though, is this. Like I mentioned, the storm is now a invest. So it's now an investigation. We're going to bring you guys over here to this page here. So this is the current storms. This is the current hurricane model guidance here real quick right here. So as you can see, the hurricane models, they are very much in agreement of this thing becoming a hurricane. Matter of fact, all of the models here shows at least a tropical storm, which, at that point, this is pretty much given. This thing will become a named storm. But yeah, I mean, like the middle of the models here shows the kind of the median line, really picking up some heat here. I mean, seriously, this thing, majority of the models even has the storm possibly even becoming a major hurricane, possibly Category 3 or greater. As you can see, a good handful of the models here really does show that overall. So, that's a little bit interesting in itself. Let's see here. So the main hurricane models, there's not enough of the models that have ran quite yet. I'm assuming that probably the next one will be a little bit better. But yeah, you can kind of see what we're looking at. So the storm's just going to kind of roll its way to the west here, kind of slow down, stall, maybe do a little loop-de-loop here, and then start to pull back up as we start to get building high pressure to the east, as we start to get that low, that cold front there that rolls through on the west. It's going to kind of steer it possibly between those, between that cold front and between that high pressure system that's there, which could push it into the Gulf, which is very much possible at this point, or it could just possibly even throw it into the Eastern Gulf. We'll have to see how that plays out, though. It's still a little early talk, but. Here's some more of here's actually some of the ensembles here, suggesting the same thing, kind of slows down. Majority of ensembles you can still see very spread out, but middle has it possibly going back into the Gulf here with, you can see a good chunk of those models having this thing actually steering because of that cold front that'll be rolling through around the same time, kind of steering the storm here. So. There's a lot of factors, that comes into play here. How strong that cold front's going to be, the placement of the cold front, how strong the high pressure to the east is going to be. There's a lot of moving parts in forecasting something like this. So. Just one change in variables can throw off a whole outcome. So that's kind of where we stand right now. It still is a little bit early to be for sure. Here's a current look at the storm right now. It's actually not looking that bad. As you can see here on the infrared, I mean, we are still getting some pretty good amounts of convection. It seems like it's fairly centralized. If you look real closely, you can kind of make out it is rotating counterclockwise a bit. Look at those lower level clouds. Oh, you can't actually see that. Hold on a minute. Let me move this a little bit to the right here. I might actually need to zoom out a bit too, so you guys can kind of see the full picture. Here you go. So if you look closely over here, you can kind of see how those lower level clouds are moving to the south. Upper level clouds are moving a bit more to the southwest, but you can see that right in here, This is all moving to the south. And if you look over on this side, you can kind of see, if you look low, you can see that there is some movement here coming in to the northwest. So you can see that low is starting to come together. You can start to see how that is starting to organize a bit. Once again, we are seeing a good amount of convection on the storm here and stuff like that. Overall, it's looking pretty good as of right now. And like I said, we're going to continue working our way to the west here. It's going to take a couple days before it really starts, developing overall. Taking a look here at the other satellite imageries and stuff like that. You can see that there's a lot of convection, towards the core there. You can notice that there is a lot of drier air up to the north here overall. A little bit of dry air up here towards the Western Caribbean as well. However, to the south, it's fairly saturated, fairly moist. There's a good amount of moisture in the environment to the south. A little bit of drier to the north, but it's overall, as of right now, looking fairly good. It looks pretty decent currently. Let's see. We're gonna bring up this one here. Yeah, you can really kind of see that as well. That those darker colors representing a bit of drier air, and these kind of representing some more moisture-filled areas here overall. So, as the storm, continues kind of rolling its way here to the west a little bit, it's going to start picking up some of that moisture. And like I said, it's going to slow down. It's going to kind of stall out, possibly pick up some strength, and then that high pressure slips down. Can't see my pen at that point. So high pressure slips down, builds into the region, as well as that cold front at some point, and that's gonna allow for the storm here to to kind of possibly track its way up here into the Gulf. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. There still is several days worth of tracking on this storm here. We're gonna have to keep you guys posted, and we're gonna have to keep on watching it closely. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's still a lot of factors here, but it is absolutely a storm that we do need to be monitoring closely. Let's see here. What's up, Binksy? Hope you're doing good. Saying, hey, man, South Mississippi tuning in here. In a minute, when you get a chance, can I see how the environment's looking for tornadoes in Biloxi when the front rolls through? So at this point, it's probably a little early to tell. Here, I will bring you guys over to the models real quickly, though, to talk about that for a minute. So because this thing is also going to be playing a factor in terms of what this hurricane or potential hurricane could do. At this point, I think it's very fair to say that this thing will likely become a hurricane at some point. But the next cold front that rolls through here, it honestly, according to GFS and whatnot, shows barely enough instability to sustain any thunderstorms, honestly. Now, this could obviously change. I have seen many times where, long-range models such as GFS don't really support it in the beginning, and then the mid-range model comes through and it, kind of plays otherwise. Let me look at the dew point temperature here. So dew points, showing that moisture supply. Dew points are in the 50s and 60s. Typically the Goldilocks zone is in the 60s, where you want severe weather and stuff like that. But without any instability or whatnot, I really don't think we might even get any storms out of this. But remember, it's a little early to tell for sure, because we are looking to, for the 19th, 18th, 19th or so, which is still a couple days away out. So. But yeah, as of now, it doesn't seem like a big severe weather threat at all. Actually, honestly, probably none at all. Just considering there's no instability on this front here, it's just nothing but wind shear. But yeah, there is some pretty strong winds with it though. Pretty strong low level jet. So if there was instability on that could be a problem. But no need to fret because there's none. So we're good. Let's see here. Matthew says, hey, Andrew, I think he's talking about tomorrow's setup. Are you talking about tomorrow, or are you talking about with this cold front? Oh, okay. That's a little different. I was thinking you're talking about that cold front that's going to be potentially steering that tropical cyclone. So let's, first of all, move over here. So you're in Mississippi. We're going to bring up our SPC outlook here. So for today, we have a little bit of a threat out here towards Texas. Yeah, nothing big. Tomorrow, we do have a little marginal risk out here towards like central southern Mississippi. Tornado probability, there is a 2% chance. So we cannot rule out the possibility for an isolated tornado or two. It is a possibility. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, throughout portions of like central, eastern Louisiana, central southern Mississippi, like southern areas here, kind of southwestern Alabama, towards like Mobile area, it wouldn't be impossible to have a couple isolated tornadoes out there. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of damaging winds, like I said, we do have a 5% chance here for damaging winds. In terms of hail, we do got ourselves really not a threat for hail. So it seems like a main concern is just going to be mostly damaging wind gusts and possibly a couple isolated tornadoes. We can't rule that out completely. But yeah, it is a marginal risk. It's fairly low end severe weather concern. But yeah, I mean, certainly keep an eye on it. Definitely watch the system here, as it's going to need to be monitored a bit. But yeah, overall, I think you should be pretty good. But yeah, here's the thing. Here's the instability. You can really see that advection there. You see all that instability start to work its way up here from the Gulf. I think this is actually the remains of Raphael. The instability from Raphael is rolling its way up into Louisiana, Mississippi there, and then the cold front's kind of sweeping it up here. We are getting a little bit of a frontal system coming through. And behind that's going to be that high pressure, which is just going to roll its way down here to the southeast, which will be building its way into areas near the Bahamas, which that could be setting us up for that potential hurricane that we're looking at. Now let's see here. We'll pull up NAM to look at the wind shear and stuff like that. So regarding tomorrow, I mean, there is a decent lower level jet here. But it looks to be a little offset from the instability. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It seems like there's a decent amount of instability. The wind shear seems pretty decent. We got some northerlies, mid-levels. We got some easterlies here. We do have that pretty big trough there. Yeah, look at that big dip in the jet stream. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Honestly, I am a little surprised. Here, let me at least grab some soundings real quickly. We'll bring you guys back over to this page here. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised here that we just have a marginal. I ain't gonna lie. See, to me, yeah, we have a pretty strong backing when veering wind shear. We do got some hooking photographs. Instability over 1200 on the sounding here. For a mixed layer, pretty good. Decape 730. Yeah, dew points in the 70s, pretty well. Pretty good amount of moisture. Honestly, yeah, sounding like this, I'm surprised it's literally just a marginal. Let's see. Let me pull up helicity here. What time is this? 03 Zulu. Gotcha. Yeah, honestly, there's pretty high helicity here. Storm relative helicity. Yeah, man. I definitely want to keep a close eye on this. I honestly see this. I think I would not be surprised if this thing goes slight risk. I'm not gonna lie with you. Honestly, I'm surprised they have it at marginal right now. Because there is a good amount of instability. We're talking upwards of 1,000, possibly towards 1,500 joules per kilogram. Our wind shear here, good 40 knots lower level jet there associated with mid level jet around 40 knots too. Dew points here 70s. I mean, yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I honestly think we might get an upgrade on that tomorrow. I would be heavily surprised if SPC kept that as a marginal. But so, yeah, definitely watch it out there for it, my friend. Be careful, keep a close eye on it. But yeah, that'll probably go slight, in my opinion, tomorrow. Let's see here. Matthew says SPC just updated for tomorrow and did mention a possible slight risk. Really? Did they? Here, let's bring up SPC real quickly. Yeah, like I said, I would not be surprised if we did get a slight upgrade. All right, here we go. Here is the SPC's wording. Few strongest of your storms today. Let's see. Marginal tornado threat could also develop. Do you know where it says a slight risk could be possible? Yeah, we'll see. Just trying to trying to find it. Anyways, well, it wouldn't be surprised. You guys can look for it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing right now, but yeah. Right now, the latest update they did give, we still do got that 2% tornado risk out here. 5% wind threat, no hail. So yeah, 2 and 5%, 2% tornado risk, 5% wind overall. So we'll continue watching that. But all right, hop back to tropics, you guys. So we do have overall development now at a 90% chance. Like I mentioned, the storm is now a invest. It is 97L, I think it was. 99L, sorry. 99L. Actually, in development, so the possibility of this thing turning into a depression or a tropical storm within 2 days is at an 80% chance probability. So, we're getting there. Here, let's go and bring up our satellite view. We're going to get some sat views coming up here. Turn on that. There you go. That is, why is it overlaying the Caribbean islands here? Hold on. Kind of overlaying the Caribbean islands. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah, there you go. So there's like Cuba right here. But yeah, there's the system. I mean, like I mentioned, it looks like it's doing pretty good. We got a pretty good amount of like I said, we got a pretty good amount of convection happening here. Fairly centralized too. It does look pretty decent. Like I mentioned, over the next 2 days, we have an 80% chance of this thing turning into a depression or a tropical storm. And the overall probability throughout the next 7 days is a 90% chance. So overall chance of development is high at this point. And like we mentioned here, we're going to hop you guys back to models and stuff like that. But, as we mentioned, the way that this is going to kind of roll through is, we're going to have this storm here roll its way to the west a bit. It's going to kind of, stall out a little bit, kind of sit over the Caribbean, pick up a lot of that moisture. It's going to, kind of sit in that warm bathwater of 29, 30 degrees Celsius oceanic, surface temperatures. Pretty warm waters, no wind shear, fair decent amount of moisture, especially in the southern Gulf. It's going to kind of grab all that moisture. Then it could start steering its way towards the Gulf. As we get high pressure that starts building its way into, the U.S. Southeast coast, we get this cold front, that comes through overall. Not that particular cold front, but there's another one following it. This guy right here. Yeah, so that cold front, this high pressure here, it's going to kind of squeeze it in between. So we'll see. Once again, we don't know exactly if this thing is going to, make landfall in the U.S. or anything like that this time. It is a possible scenario, but it's very far out still. So, just what I would do, there's no need to full-on, freak out and buy everything in the grocery store right now. No, that's not needed at the moment. And everything like that. It's not needed. But what I do want you guys to do is just monitor it. Keep a close eye out there. I mean, I'm here in Florida too. I'm not really worried about it right now because, there's just not enough info on it. But, over the next couple of days, we'll continue to monitor it and just kind of see how it plays out. We'll keep y'all posted. Year's been pretty active. Yeah, it's been a fairly active year, actually. Overall, it's definitely been fairly active. Let's see here. We're going to take a look at the Enzo. We're in a kind of a La Nina right now, which is usually a bit active, Atlantic hurricane season wise. let's see here. Is that a hurricane? Yes. Yeah, there's a good shot that this thing won't become a hurricane. Yeah, most models actually agree on it. So here's GFS here. You can see as the storm starting to really pick up strength as it rolls its way into the Western Caribbean. Just kind of sits there, picks up a lot of heat. Then it starts to roll its way here possibly to the west. Then, maybe getting quickly shot to the east here as we get a cold front. You can see coming down here from the country. That cold front's kind of pushing that storm eastward a bit. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Let me show you guys this real quickly. I'll go ahead and bring it up for y'all. Yeah, like I said, majority of hurricane models and whatnot really do want this thing to become a hurricane here. Here, I'm going to show you guys this real quickly. Oh, didn't mean to zoom in like that. Here. So this is the latest hurricane model guidance. So each one of these lines representing a hurricane model. And, tropical storm, category 1, cat 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So this is a time series here. So we start from 0, go to forecast hour 168. So you can actually see, as we work our way down in time, we're going to slowly get some strengthening. Then we'll rapidly get some strengthening. But the middle part of the models here, really has this thing, getting its way up into hurricane strength. Once again, cat 2 is a good possibility. Cat 3, like I said, cat 1, cat 2, cat 3. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but a good amount of the models do suggest that we will possibly easily get into hurricane strength overall. All the models show tropical storm, so it's gonna likely become a name storm. It'll pull another name for the season. So, what's up, Court? Saying why? I know Florida's been getting beaten up this year by hurricanes. I mean, we had Helene. We started with Debbie. Debbie came through, dropped a lot of rain. Then we had Helene. It took a pretty similar path. Then, of course, Milton, the one that really rocked where I was at, went straight through. It didn't really do that, but it kind of went like this. Yeah, it cut right through Florida. Like I mentioned, this is still not for sure going to be another name storm for Florida. There still is possibilities this could not be, a direct issue for Florida. But, the way that latest models have been kind of trending, and everything like that, it certainly is a possible long-range scenario. We'll go ahead and bring up our ensembles here again for you guys. The GEFS ensembles. So here's actually the latest run. You can see all those ensemble members. We get the system where it's at right now. Tracks a little bit to the west, stalls, kind of stops in its track here, picks up some strength due to all of that warm water that's beneath the storm. The lack of wind shear, and a very good amount of moisture, especially in the southern Caribbean at this point. But then we start to possibly move a little bit eastward, right around the 17th or so. This is still about 4 days away or so. It starts possibly moving its way to the northwest, getting its way into, the Gulf here. We get this high pressure system that starts to build in across the U.S. East Coast, which that's honestly limiting its potential of going into these areas here. Is that high pressure ridge is going to be kind of keeping that storm away from those areas. And at the same time, we're going to be having a cold front that's going to be sweeping its way through the country, which, depending on its position, how strong it is, how big it is, it could also kind of knock that storm closer to the eastern side of the Gulf. That is a possibility. And if we continue to play these models here, you can kind of see how, a lot of those members there has this thing getting right up towards Florida. So, once again, it's still not for sure that this thing's going to hit Florida. But I would, if you live in Florida, I would watch it. I would keep a close eye on it. There's still several days of observing, several days worth of models we need to analyze before we can really make assumptions, before we can really make, the official word. But it's just, still a little early now. Once again, no need for full-on preparations or anything like that right now. So you're good. You can calm down. But I do want you guys to just at least monitor it. Just at least keep a close eye on the tropics for the next couple days. Here's the EPS. This is another set of models, members. It's an ensemble model, which you can see the majority of the activity, kind of does squeeze its way here towards the Eastern Gulf, overall. Kind of showing the same thing. We get this high pressure that kind of builds into the region here, just off the U.S. southeast coast. The storm kind of rolls its way to the north, possibly a bit to the east as that cold front swings through. So we'll just see how things play out, guys. There still is quite a bit of uncertainty with things. Here's EPS, another set. This one's a little bit more aggressive. For the most part, the members are a bit more aggressive and actually turning a lot sharper, turning much quicker, and having this thing maybe going more towards like southern Florida potentially for the majority of those ensembles. But we'll have to see. It's still, once again, not set in stone. So we'll keep an eye. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. And like I mentioned, this thing really does have a shot at developing here pretty soon. Like I said, we do have ourselves an overall high % chance for development. Throughout the next 2 days, the Hurricane Center has this thing at an 80% chance of tropical development. So the odds of this thing turning into a tropical system is quite high, especially here the next 7 days here. We do got ourselves a 90% chance, an overall 90% chance of development, which, yeah, it's most likely going to happen when you have a high probability like that. And like I said, here's actually the storm right now. It's at the moment, it's still a very bunch amount of just disorganized thunderstorms. It's becoming better organized though. It's more centralized, but it's still kind of organizing itself, and it's going to continue working its way here kind of to the west for a little bit. It's going to slow down, like we said, possibly pull a little loop-de-loop maybe, and then pull its way up here possibly to the north as that high pressure builds in on the east, and that low pressure, that cold front kind of rolls its way to the east here as well, from the west here. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're standing with, guys. So we'll keep you guys posted. There's really not a whole lot more I can really tell you guys about it today, just simply because, there still is a lot of things that we need to figure out. Still is a lot of things that we need to look into. I think we'll have a lot more information tomorrow on it, so make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already. It'll be greatly appreciated. That way you guys can stay on top of it, and also that way it'll help out the channel, help out, spread the word, and get the word out there. And if you guys could share this, it'd be much appreciated as well. But yeah, if you guys have any questions before I call it a night here, feel free to throw it down in the chat. Like I said, we're here for you. We're here to answer any of your concerns, any of your questions, concerns. If y'all have anything, we're here for you, and we'll continue to keep you guys posted and everything like that. But anyways, let's see here. Florida's not having a good time. Yeah, I mean, so far Florida, this year has been getting hit pretty good. I mean, obviously we had Debbie, which was just pretty much a rainmaker. Nothing more really than a rainmaker. A little bit. It was pretty windy, of course, but it was nothing big. We had Debbie. Then we had Helene. Now Helene was a beast. Helene was really bad. Arguably, Helene was the most damaging storm of the year. Obviously we had Helene that kind of rolled through Florida, and then it caused catastrophic flooding in the Carolinas and stuff like that. It was bad. Then of course we had Milton, which Milton was pretty bad too. I mean, Milton was bad, but it was limited to not as many areas as like Helene was. They were both actually Milton downgraded to Cat 3 just before it made landfall, while Helene made landfall as a Cat 4. So yeah, I mean, Milton was still a very nasty storm, overall. Are we looking at a superstorm? I don't think so. I mean, we'll see. I can't really make any inputs on that because there's a lot of things we don't understand, or a lot of things we don't really know about the storm yet. We're kind of just waiting to achieve all that data. We're just kind of watching it as time progresses, kind of see how it's interacting, and obviously the closer we get to any potential issues, the closer we do get to it, the better we can forecast it overall. So we'll see. But anyways, all right, everybody. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Once again, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. If you guys haven't already, leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, if you guys could share this, be much, much appreciated. And all right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your nights. And Alrighty, we'll see you guys here tomorrow. So stream's gonna head off here, guys, in approximately 2 minutes. So if you guys have anything you want to go ahead and say to your friends, your family, anybody you're hanging out with in the chat, really, go ahead and say your final goodbyes. And alrighty, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Have a good night's sleep, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for another update. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. See ya in the next one. Peace out.